because I'm really.
All right, we're live.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's going on, Jen?
Not much. Just hanging out. Getting excited
so
about some fun stuff this morning.
We are going to talk about fun stuff, and then there's like
I
a
know.
party. Hoots, the producer, DJ Hootie Hoots. He's got like his posse over there.
I know. He's got some cool people like right there with him.
Yeah. Okay, so I need to check if we're coming through on all this stuff. Hopefully, like if we had the same issues that we had last time. Remember, we got a YouTube channel. Like, follow, subscribe. Hang on. So are we live?
And if you have issues with LinkedIn, like refresh, because I think we had some issues yesterday, but it ended up fixing it.
Oh, yeah. Could you like run us through that, Jen?
Yeah. So yesterday morning we did a pop-up and Buddy was having some issues with video. But when I went through and just refreshed, it ended up coming through good. So just kind of refresh if you have an issue with LinkedIn.
Yeah, slide. Oh, shoot. No, we got a whole bunch of people on LinkedIn right now.
Okay. Well, come on with it. Bring them on. Yes. Give us your name. Tell us you're here. Come on.
Yeah. We need to see you in the comment. Comments are coming. Jamie Knox, Troublemaker says good
There's
morning.
No video on LinkedIn, they said.
What's that?
I was going to say
yeah, not sure what's going on there. But thank you for look, we got Maria Martin coming in. Maria Martin coming in from the Facebook land. What's going on, sister?
Good morning.
Yeah, and then we got Thomas. I know you haven't listened to it, Jen, so I'm not going to put you on the spot for failing to listen to Thomas's very first podcast.
I have it saved, though.
Special, important to him that you haven't listened to yet. But there is an episode out, the very first episode for Thomas and I are reviewing The Goal. What do you think about that?
I know. You're right. I haven't clicked on it because I knew I didn't have all the time to commit to it at that moment, but it's saved and it is. I'm excited. The next time I walk, I'm gonna start listening to it.
Ooh, so coming soon. Oh man, it is so awesome. Like so awesome. We got Will Sullivan coming in from the NYC. Oh, and today's like Social Saturday.
Yes, and he just hit 17,000 followers, I think, which was like huge.
Yes, tons. Oh, look, so people have already transitioned over to the YouTube. Yeah. Cindy Becerra, good morning, Cindy. How you be? And Angel, curious idealist. She says, good morning, pocket friends. The baby wiggles in my belly make me smile. She got a little baby coming, like here in the very near future.
Awesome.
And she posted in like on the NoBS chat on LinkedIn. She's looking for like advice, tips, tricks about connecting her father to continue
construction related work.
Construction, his knowledge. Bruce coming in from Queens.
Good morning.
Oh, look at that. Look, we got somebody sidewinder there.
He's like in the background and he's contributing.
Yeah, George is in the backstage over there with Adam Hoots. Mr. Davis. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Let's see. Hoots says, morning, fam. I've got video. Okay, so Adam has video on LinkedIn.
So refresh.
Yeah, it may just be a refresh thingy.
Yeah.
And if not, we're on YouTube.
Yes.
And Facebook, by the way.
What?
Miss Yesenia, she says, good morning. She's headed to Friendswood.
Yeah.
Is that like a Dallas place?
I'm thinking it's Houston-ish, but that's okay. I'm not sure.
Somewhere over there. Uh-oh. And the person that kind of started this fire here.
Oh, yes.
Kirby says, good morning.
You gotta claim that. Come on now.
Well, so let's go there real quick. So Kirby, you started this fire.
Uh-huh.
And with this little picture that you sent me.
Yep.
Which says, what does it say?
Messy is reversible.
And so that kicked off a line of thinking between Jen and I around what does that mean and coloring out that side the lines and I guess it's maybe the mental models or the mood. Shout out to Hal because we got Hal Maycomer in the background also. That we kind of get in that traps maybe our creativity, and I think it's more than the creativity. But we'll dig into that here in a second. What are you thinking, Jen?
Well, I'm thinking because those of you that have not purchased the book yet, so we have a book, and inside there, I think this is where this conversation today got to. The final, okay, we need to talk about this, was Jesse's post with Kirby's notes. But then I was telling Jesse this morning, like, I know you can't see everything. Where are we at here? But like in the book, I know you're sharing your screen, so it's not going to show up.
There you go.
In the book, like we talked about how we think messy is bad, but we need to embrace messy because like messy is automatically like, it's bad. You got to clean it up. And like messy, when you think about artists and you think about people that are trying new things and creative and inspiring, like sometimes messy is needed to get to where we need to be. So like we can't just say messy's bad.
Yeah, and I'll go all the way on the other side of it. Is like messy is the only way I know how to roll.
I know.
Like we're just gonna do it. So please keep the comments coming. Mr. Thomas LeMays posted a link in the chat to the YouTube live feed so that you can see all this beauty and Jen coming through the screen. We got Mr. Matt Graves. He's giving us claps, applause.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Thank you, Matt.
He's been posting some super cool stuff.
He's like amazing stuff.
Yes.
Like really like making you having to my brain tingle a little bit.
100%. Steve Martin, our chief marketing from Connecticut. I think he's just back from like an awesome vacation.
Yes, where he like got away and rested and did the things that we keep telling people that we have to do.
Yes, yes. You know this person, Jen?
Oh, I do. Buddy's all over the place. He was like waiting this morning, like open. Come on, let's go. Let's get started.
Yeah. Go. I love it because if y'all don't know this, but if it wasn't for Buddy, we would not have had the pop-up yesterday because I totally forgot about it because I was like super enthralled in this like next level course that I was in for 3 days. What was it? It was socio-technical thinking for system design for change leaders. Is that fancy or what?
Or purposeful change, yes.
Yes. Oh, Wally's not getting any video. Wally, there's a link. Thomas posted a link in the chat to take you to YouTube. This is a common thing. This happened last week. So you can see our smiling faces on YouTube. All right, let's see some more awesome people here. Abdul says good morning all the way from Ghana, West Africa.
Good morning.
Tom Weathers. Oh,
you know him?
What do you know about New Orleans, Jen?
New Orleans. So Tom is the chair for LCI Congress, which is in New Orleans next month. And we're super excited. One, because we're going. And there's always some really good learning and we get to network with all of our amazing tribe. But two, you and I are doing an event that we're going to do book signings and we're going to hang out with all of our people that helped us kind of help the book come to fruition. So we are like super excited about that event, which ties into the Congress, which is important to Tom. So
yeah, 100%. So Wednesday evening, October 19th, 5 to 7 p.m. Central. Catch us live. We'll continue to post some stuff out there so you can come out. Tom, thank you for that. We got Miss Deborah Hilmerson, big time safety baller on the call.
Yep.
Good morning, coming in from Minneapolis. Look, George is already talking smack. He says, what's messy to you may be organized to me. So we love all of you, and we're going to keep coming back to the chat. So keep dropping your thoughts and your ideas. Let us know you're here, especially like if you're a first timer, and I don't mean like a first time watcher listener. I mean a first time chatter. Please let us know you're here so that we can celebrate you and introduce you to the rest of the tribe.
And wait. And all of you that are in there chatting and talking to, if you see names that you're like, ooh, I don't know that name, jump on there, talk to them, connect to them, say that, hey, we're here. Like, let them know what we are and what we're doing. So super excited.
Boom. Got it, man.
What you got?
We got Hoots in the background making it happen. I like it. Okay. So coloring outside the lines, Jen, where do you think we should start?
Well, I think we start, you and I, let's start with, I know you and I did a pop-up yesterday, and Adam was on with us, and we started talking about what does that mean? Like when we talk about coloring outside the lines, and what are the lines and what are colors and things like that. Like I think you and I, we started that conversation on the pop-up, and one, it kind of stumped me a little bit because I had to think about it. But I think we start with that. Just let's set the tone and what that looks like. Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so we got a little message up there coming in from Mr. Allen. Thank you, Allen. That dude is so awesome. I'll leave that up there so people can catch that as we start chatting here.
Yes.
So the question that I remember Adam asking was, what are the lines and what are the colors?
Mm-hmm.
And which was a really good question, because in my head, like, everything makes perfect sense, but those questions hadn't been answered.
Nope.
And so for me, the lines are like the expectations, maybe even status quo, rules, guide, like all these things. Those are the lines, right? And I'm kind of hesitant to say that rules are the line, because I'm not advocating for just breaking rules,
right.
Even though that's how I roll. I'm not saying like just break rules, because you've got to have. There's some grit that comes with breaking rules all the time. And if you don't got that, then I don't recommend breaking rules. But there are expectations, right? There are these things. And more importantly for me, it's like the self-imposed lines, like self-imposed expectations, my need or desire to live up to other people's expectations that they haven't even said that it was an expectation. It's something that I developed in my own brain. And then the colors are me. The colors are my experience. The colors are my pain, my energy, my thoughts. Like, those are the colors. And you had asked me, like, did you like coloring? And I'm like, no, I hated coloring. When I was like in elementary school, it was like, oh my God, please don't make us color, because I would get in trouble for coloring outside the lines, or I would get, bad grade. I don't even know if I got graded for it, but I do remember, like, it was not a fun, meaningful experience, because there was always this element of judgment coming at me because I was getting outside the lines, and I didn't understand, like, it's a paper that I could color on. Like, it says coloring book, not color inside the lines. It says coloring book. So color. And as hard as I tried to stay within the lines, I still was not able to do it. And it created this sense of like less than. What do you think, Jen?
God, I like 1,000 things going on in my head right now. So, well, I want to back up a little bit, because I think you started with what are the lines and what are the colors. And I like how you tied colors to emotions and like the way you felt. And because I feel, I have a favorite color, and it's orange, and most people know that. But like, there's times where that's not what I'm feeling. Like, I'm not feeling orange. I may be feeling red, or I may be feeling blue. Like, there's different colors. And I think we get tying emotions to colors sometimes, I think, makes it a little bit easier. But also, that just means we swim in all these different places, but they're not static, and they're not like this is who we are. And then you tie that to the lines, and I want to tie it back to what you said with those lines being almost compliance. Like, when we see the lines, and those are compliance, because we know we have to still have those things. We have speed limits. We have, things that have to be there. But I don't know if there's anybody here that can't say they've gone over that speed limit line. Like, so they're put in place for safety, for things like that, things that are important to help us keep us safe, to make sure we're, creating the buildings the way we're supposed to, things like that we're used to. But we teeter on that sometimes. And even once we get that compliance piece and we understand it, then how do we shift to that next level, continuous improvement, making something better, making something smarter? What is that? What are we doing to improve that now will be better tomorrow than it was today? That can't happen by staying inside those lines.
Ooh, you're stirring it up, Jen. Here's why. And I'm gonna ruffle some feathers with this, but that's okay. In continuous improvement in lean, we talk about standards, right? You got to have standards. There is no improvement without standards, which I agree with. Like technically, if you don't know where you're at, how do you know if you've improved? Now, what I see happen is we'll establish a standard. And what I mean by that is like we'll get it out of our head. It will be documented. People will be educated on it, and we can verify that it's actually being followed. And then there's the line. And any deviation from that, coloring outside the line, is violation. And so that's kind of the counterintuitive of, or maybe there's just some imposing forces there, right? Yes, we have to establish a standard because this is the new best way. And it's been proven, right? Improve quality, improve safety, improve production, whatever, like better for the human being. And based on those metrics, that's the best way. That doesn't mean it's the only way forever and ever. And some of us get stuck there and say, no, you're outside the standard. Yes, I am. And I'm experimenting because I believe this is better. Now, on the other end of it, the innovators, right, or the nonconformist, me, there's a responsibility that we have to prove that this way is better across all the metrics, right? Unless it's safety. Like if safety goes up and production goes down, then you just need to figure out how to get the production better because we want to make it better for the human all the time. But we get wrapped up in this, no, this is the standard. This is the way to do it. This is the only way to do it. And then it stays static. And so that's the lines, right? Like, where's the line? The standard is a line, but it's not to hold us there forever. It is a place for us to improve from or improve upon. What do you think, Jen?
Well, and we just let's use innovation. Like when we use the word innovation, and Steve Moore always comes to mind. So I'm going to give a shout out to Steve Moore, that is our innovation leader. And that's where he lives. He lives in this innovation space, which can be messy and can be a little bit pushing things outside of the norm. But I know that the things he's created like didn't exist. And because he lives in this space and push things outside, and Plus Delta is a great example. And I'm going to use that is most of us know Plus Delta, you at the end of a meeting, at the end of a training session, at the end of something where you're wanting to get feedback, you ask Plus Delta, you say, what was great and we need to keep doing it. And then what can we improve? And that's the Plus Delta. We usually do it with a sticky note and markers, and we get feedback, and then we take a picture of it, and then we save it somewhere. That's usually what happens. And so Steve, in this space that we're in, decided, okay, how can we make this better so that we get more engagement and more people adding to it, but it doesn't live on the sticky note in a photo in the computer somewhere. And so he, created the Plus Delta app, which now is free to anyone to use. And he's even taken it to the next level of using analytics for, feedback and what is that trend? And are we getting the same feedback and are we improving? But like, that's an example of Plus Delta's work. You get feedback and you can make decisions on them. But he, again, lived outside the lines and went, how can we make this better? And it was a little messy and janky, but it got to the point now to where people are using it across the industry. And like yesterday, we like acknowledged like he's the creator of it. And it's just cool to see stuff like that.
So Bruce shares messy is necessary. And I think like that word necessary, right, is sometimes we'll get caught up on getting everything perfect and square and plumb and beautiful and matchy match and all. Like, come on, man. Like, let's just go. It doesn't like Bruce, I'm with you 100%. And honestly, for all you like the NoBS tribe out there, if you disagree with messy is necessary, let us know, because this is not a place for us to say this is how it needs to be. This is a place for us to examine our thoughts. And really, I've been going for like 45 years trying to be convinced that messy is not the best way. So please convince me. There's some fixers out there that would benefit from that. So you mentioned a name, Jen, Steve Moore. It sounds familiar. Have I met him?
You met him at Congress, I believe.
I thought I hung out with them yesterday. No?
Oh, yesterday. Yes, you did yesterday morning.
What were we doing?
we had a study action team, which another term that we experiment with books and listen and get feedback and takeaways and have discussions on different books that we read.
I think we were studying a pretty familiar book. It was like the
Yes,
Lean and
this book.
That's the book. That's right. Kirby was there. And so I want Miss Maria Martin. What's going on, sister? She says, take chances, make mistakes, get messy. And like on two hands, right? Like one, that is what we're saying right now. We're talking about taking chances, making mistakes, get messy, color outside the lines. And the reason I wanted to incorporate the study action team yesterday, which by the way is happening again 4 more times, because the people in that group, a lot of people who had met face to face, virtually, of course, for the first time, we got like super vulnerable, super fast.
Yep.
Right. People were taking chances and sharing very intimate details. And which also ties to a conversation we had with Hal yesterday around vulnerability, trust, transparency, and building affection for one another. And, you know, maybe it's another case study, this study action team, if we continue, rather, as we continue to trust each other, build trust with one another, get vulnerable, get transparent, there will be a degree of affection on the other side of it. What do you think, Jen?
Well, I mean, you know that I love that conversation in general when it comes to trust and vulnerability and just authenticity in the way that we show up. And I think something Hal said yesterday, which I thought was just profound, and it made me think beyond what I normally do, is the way we show up and how we grant trust to people. Like you have to earn it versus giving it. Ooh. And then hopefully they don't screw us over. And sometimes they do. But like, how do you live? And I feel like one is kind of inside this box of, you have to earn what I have versus like, I'm giving this to you because, you're a person that I want to be able to have this relationship with. And so like, it was like mind blowing for me, that thought. And it kind of goes inside of, do we live inside this box or do we live outside that box?
Yes. So, I can't help but honor people with like the best filter tools. So Dr. M, good evening, Dr. M, coming in from Mumbai, says standard perfectly understood. That was for me. He's talking about me and what I said, Jen, just so everybody knows.
Okay.
It's at a point of time, do Kaizen over and over, improve and improve. The standard is a reference line. So back to the lines, right? We got to have them. There's value in them, rather. I'm going to say we got to have them. I'm going to say there's value in having them. But the intent is to build upon them. And you mentioned innovation earlier, and then we started talking about this super cool, because it really is. If y'all haven't seen this Plus Delta app, y'all need to search it, or please somebody hook it up, drop a link in the chat so folks can see that. It's freaking awesome. Like it's super, super cool, makes things very easy. And you have this information that you access and you can print out. With my clients, I'll run a Plus Delta and then I can download a PDF of the responses and send them back. And luckily, I got a lot of pluses in the plus column, right? If there was deltas, I might say, man, my Wi-Fi was down. The deltas didn't come through. That's a joke. I'm being silly. There you go. Boom. Plus www.plusdelta.app. Now, but you also talked about innovation. And I think, rather, I'll say it this way. When I hear innovation, my brain automatically goes to technology.
Yeah, I was going to say that most people's, that's where they go.
What do you think that comes from?
Well, I think it comes from like the flashy new cool things, because in my mind, those are the things that draw our attention. New phones, new, little, I know for you, little toys that, you can video more things on your paddleboard and stuff like that. Like to me, that's where people go when they think of innovation.
Oh, I'm glad you said that.
But we forget like innovation is just like it can be anything. It can be anything that's making something better. And that oh gosh.
So we're going to innovate right now without technology. See if I don't bust my face. All right, I'm on my balance
Are
board.
you surfing?
I'm surfing, baby. But so okay. So what do you think? Like, if it's not technology or electronic, is it innovation?
Yes.
Okay. So then, what's innovation?
Making things better.
Yeah. Like,
So here's an example. Here's in my mind innovation. So, and it's a story that I got. So someone told to me very early in my lean journey. They said, if someone asks, if Henry, I think Henry Ford, if he asked his customers, what do they want, they would have said faster horses. And like,
okay.
and so, but because they didn't know what they didn't know. So like we're riding horses, we're doing horse and buggy, we're whatever that was. It's like in their minds that they lived in that box of this is what it is. So how do we make this better? The innovation is how do we completely change transportation? And so it was something outside of this is what we've always done. This is what's worked. But if we're trying to push things outside the box, outside the lines, we've got to think differently. And to me, that's what innovation is. Innovation is approaching something differently and thinking differently and not being confined by those pre-existing lines.
Oh, what do we think about this one? Innovation coming up with a new condition of status. Damn, that how guy. He's a pretty smart fella, huh?
He is pretty smart.
Yes, and I think that ties exactly to your Ford example. Is what is the new condition of satisfaction? It was horses at one time, right? And now it's cars and whatever is going to be next.
Right, electric, which Hal I'm sure cares about a lot.
Oh yeah, everybody buy an electric car right now. It'll be awesome. And so Mr. Ian, of course, is coming at us with some like real vulnerability. He says, as an EH&S professional, he learned pretty quick. Things aren't always color by number.
Oh, color by numbers are horrible.
Why?
I don't like one. Okay, so I'm going to acknowledge that there are people that maybe aren't so creative and this helps them like create things. I will acknowledge that. I hate color by number. One, because usually the spaces are kind of small. And so, and they like tell you what color you need to put in there to create this masterpiece. So it drives me crazy because what if I don't want that color? Then it changes the whole dynamic of the picture. And so an example, it's funny that came up, is like this picture right here. This is a picture of a painting that I've done. And so I don't know, those of you that have gone or have seen it, taking your kids to those like sip and paint where you go and someone is in the front of the room and they have a picture, a painting, and they're trying to teach the entire class how to paint that picture. And so it's usually people that don't, they're trying to learn how to do it. So they start with like one stroke at a time and you're drawing this and you're painting this. And about 5 or 10 minutes in, we're doing the outline of the lion and all this stuff. And then I was just like, okay, I'm good. And I just started painting. And their picture didn't have colors in it. It didn't have, like, there were just so many things in their picture that I was like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I don't need all that. And then they kept walking by and going, well, what? I'm good. Like, I don't like whenever someone tells me what I can and can't do regarding even just my creativity. And I feel like we as an industry, like, focus so much on conformity that we lose the innovation and the ideas and the things that could make us better.
Oh, Jen.
What do you think about that, Jess?
So first of all, I want to shout out to our friend, Mr. Terry. He says, hashtag no groupthink, 100%, right? We're here to have some real conversation. And on that note, Kirby says, stop picking on her. She loves color by number.
Again, I said, I acknowledged up front, there are people that like it. I don't.
Yep. But to the point of conformity, here's what I think about conformity and compliance. And it gets real dangerous the greater our influence and our responsibility becomes. And it gets dangerous this way because if everything I value is compliance and conformity, and my leadership is growing, I'll be more clear, my influence and responsibility within the organization is growing and expanding, And I like people that color outside the lines, that are going to challenge my thinking, that are going to push back, that are going to try new things. If those people get called out, what do I end up with?
Yeah, bobbleheads.
Bobblehead, right? I got all these people around me saying, oh, that's great. I love it. That's not a good situation to be in.
No.
Right. And have you ever been in any, maybe NoBS tribe? Have you ever been in a meeting full of bobbleheads? And here's maybe an indicator, maybe not an indicator, but a truth. Sitting in this meeting with bobbleheads, you're thinking like, oh, these people are nuts. This is a stupid idea. This is going to be horrible. There's no respect, no appreciation for anybody in here. And then you didn't say anything. So just because you didn't agree and bobble your head, does that like, are you free? Are you?
You're still conforming.
Yes. Yes. 100%. Now, again, when I talk about me coloring outside the lines, that doesn't mean I'm never inside the line. It means that I go outside the line when the moment is appropriate. Mm-hmm. And so one of those ways that I do that, and I'm so grateful for Hal this week, because you know my energy, and we're there in a class, and I'm trying to do my damnedest to like not totally disrupt the damn class. But one way that I color outside the lines is share my energy and share my sense of humor.
I don't know anything about that. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so, Jen, when people say you're just too much, what does that
and they
feel
say
like?
that a lot. Well, they say that a lot. And at first, and again, they've said that a lot most of my life, specifically in the role that I'm in now. It's like, you're just a lot. You're just, sometimes you're just a lot to take. And at first, my first reaction was, well, I need to temper it down, or I need to not show up as big. And I need to not do that because I needed to put them in a place of comfort. That's exactly where I went. And the moment I figured out, not so much even for me, but for them, is we have to be in this uncomfortable place to grow and learn. As soon as and I knew it for me, because I can jump and be uncomfortable and learn and grow, but I was still trying to make them comfortable. And it didn't even make sense. And as soon as now I show up and I say it's in my big room rules. You are going to get uncomfortable. So I'm going to tell you now, you're going to not like me. You're going to get up and have to talk in front of people, and you're not going to like that, but it's going to be okay because we're all going to get through this together. That is how I start. And it doesn't matter that I'm a little bit more than what they were expecting. It's okay.
Yes. Yes. And so that statement is like, here's a line that you're crossing, right? We're like,
yes.
All right, baby. There's this thought I've had in my head. It's like, I like the look on a person's face when they realize the box they've been trying to put me in just ain't big enough. Watch out, baby. And so this color by numbers thing has, I think we lit a bit of a
okay,
fire.
come on, go. Bring it. What we got?
Senya says coloring by number makes your picture look just like all the others. It limits your own uniqueness.
I love it.
Powerful.
Yes.
Right. And that's the essence of the conversation, is how do we bring our full selves to the situation where we're at? How can I serve to the greatest degree? Is to be as much of me as I possibly can. That's my belief. I'm not saying that works for everybody. Like I said, it's really not that easy.
But we don't. But we have to. Okay, and I want to hit. This is huge, but I want to hit. But it's okay because we have to. I say this all the time. We can't even improve or even know where we are without that baseline, without that compliance and that foundation of where we're starting from. So it's we're not saying you don't need lines. We're just saying hey, if we acknowledge the lines, we don't need to let them contain us.
Yes.
Ooh, or yeah.
Draw your own lines, baby. Now we're talking. Absolutely, sister. Thank you, Yesenia. Solid. So Kirby says, I loved color by number until today. Humbert, she says, I now see how I use the concept of color by number as a safety net. I used it to stay in total compliance, ready to draw what I want with the colors I want. What do you think about that, Jen? This safety net idea,
yes,
around staying inside the lines.
Yes, y'all are bringing like like everything in the chat is amazing.
Right now is a good time to give Adam Hoots a shout out for the value that he's adding to this conversation.
Yes,
he's going through all the comments. Boom! Look at that, Noah Hermes. I know that guy. I used to torture him. Color by number may create a masterpiece that is unknown to you.
Ooh.
What do you think about that one, Jen?
Oh my gosh, that's a whole nother concept of by you just conforming and doing the check the boxes. What are you learning? Like you're just step 1, step 2, step 3, you get done, you have this completed, and I'm going to use the job site. You've gone through and you've done this task, and at the end it's complete. What did you learn? What do you understand about that work you just put in place? Because you just did step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, not asking questions, not engaging, not screwing up a little bit, whatever those things are. Like, how did you learn and grow and get better? If you're just, again, doing that, again, rinse and repeat, and you're doing those things, how are you learning and growing?
Yes. And then Thomas says, I do color by number in my mindfulness practice.
Oh, Thomas, I'm going to talk about this, then you can talk. I love this statement because I think it's super important to think about what do you do in your life that allows you to not think. And that's huge because Jesse and I have talked about this earlier, like a year ago, but I read fiction. I read fiction because I am a huge reader and I love reading things that are going to challenge me. And again, I read a lot of nonfiction, way more nonfiction, because I want to, I'm trying to get better. But when I read fiction, my brain can completely disengage and I can just be in this story and mystery or whatever it is. And I can be there and my brain's not having to process anything. And so it's almost like my reprieve of where I live and function all the time. And so I love this statement by Thomas.
100%. So again, this is perfect. So 2 points I want to bring in. Thank you all for your
y'all are bringing it. Keep it coming. Because we're going to go back later and we'll use these quotes for other stuff. Yes.
100%. So Tom Weathers says, I love this topic. No group think. # no group think. What are some tips you have for creating space for a group to innovate? Right? Because
show up every other Saturday morning. Enjoy the tribe.
Absolutely. So one thing, Jerry Aliberti, he's out there. He's in the chat. He said good morning to us, and I skipped by him. And this ties to this question. He reached out, which was probably an innovative action in his life and his mode of operation. He connected on LinkedIn, said, hey, he had some questions. And I said, well, man, let's talk. And so then we had a conversation, and like his energy, Jen, up here, like, I'm like, man, I got to hang out with this dude. He's awesome. So first, folks, if y'all are out there on the LinkedIn world, find Jerry and connect with him, because that guy's got it going on. He's going to bring some real value to the community. But second, part of that is creating a group there he is, Mr. Jerry. Thank you. Hit him up.
Y'all connect with him. Go get him and follow him. And yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So as it relates to creating a space for a group to innovate, and we talked about this when we were working with Hal this week, or learning from Hal this week, is we got to build the group, right? And so again, in Jesse speak, what that means is minimize the bobbleheads. Mm-hmm. Right? Bring people in, expand your network, and like the super hardest thing is listen. Right? There's a difference between saying, hey, this conversation is going to be inclusive and we want people to share and collaborate. You go first. Now, what do you think? Or even worse, we're going to collaborate. We're going to be inclusive. and this is the outcome that I want. It's all gone now, baby.
Yep.
Right? It's what is the problem? We want to examine whatever this outcome that we're having right now. We want it to feel like X, or what do we want it to feel like, or what could it look like if? And so that question sets the stage, and then listen deeply and let all it's the yes and exercise, Jen. It's the yes and exercise. What do you think?
No, I love it. And I'm trying to think what my brain, like you said something and it just triggered something else. But I think we forget sometimes that when we go into a room and we start talking, a lot of times the people that we hang out with are pretty big ballers. Like they say a lot of amazing things. So I want to challenge everyone. Here's a litmus test for, are you allowing those conversations, and are you allowing that space? So a couple of things that can happen when you go into your next meeting. Okay. How many people in the audience or the participants, number one, are asking questions? So start with that. How many people in the audience are asking questions? Number two, how many people in the audience are asking clarifying questions on, this is what I heard, is that correct? And then the third one is, how many people in the audience are asking questions that either are challenging what was said or contradict what was said? Because again, not be the rebel, be the person that's going to derail the meeting. But I ask those things because in the last 3 days, and again, I want to give shout out because Hal, and Adam did really good got a group together to really think about some things. And there were people that have huge bodies of work. And the conversations for me, I think what made it the most powerful were those clarifying questions. This is what I heard. Is that what you were trying to say? And I hear you, but I don't agree. I hear you, but what about this? Have you thought about this? To me, those are where there's real innovation and change and thinking and outside the box ideas happening.
Yes. I think the key takeaway for me there is, I hear you and I disagree. How often are those words, I disagree?
That's another one. They're like, I'm scared. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, okay.
Oh man. So here we go. Yesenia says coloring outside the lines equals getting out of your comfort zone. 100% says, man, Yesenia got it going on today.
No, get her on YouTube and she's like blowing it up.
How comfortable is it to say, I disagree? That's a little scary.
Yes.
But that's the power, right? That's the value that we can bring.
And let's acknowledge, if you were on the receiving end of that, let's acknowledge that does not mean you are wrong or that they don't respect you, that they don't value you. It just means that, heaven forbid, there's a different way to look at it, a different approach, a different perspective. And that is what makes things powerful. Is that now we have these two perspectives that we can talk about that somehow are going to come and culminate into something better.
Gangsta. Okay, so there's a bunch of comments that are on the same line. I want to bring them up.
Okay, yes.
Wally Roman, all right, she made it to YouTube. She says, there should be a happy medium where coloring by numbers or following steps meets creativity. Someone once told me you need to know the rules so you can know how much you can bend them. Gangsta. And on the same line, not that one. Buddy Brumley says, color by number to learn the task and then make the colors your own to take it to the next level.
Oh, buddy, that is yes. That's that compliance, continuous improvement, man. That's that seesaw.
And then Ian Smith says, you have to learn to evaluate, meet the intent, and if you're progressive, you can picture what it can look like in the future. And that means experimentation, baby.
Oh my gosh. We're going to have another whole show on all these freaking comments.
Oh my goodness. And so the underlying, like, or the thread that I'm taking in all of that is there's value in having this standard or the lines. We'll call it the lines, standards, lines, right? There's value in having the lines. We know that there's value in having that. And Davis and I had a conversation earlier this week, and we're kind of evaluating the rub between experience and youth and energy, right? Because youth and energy have this like, it sucks. I don't like the way it is. We need to change it. This is and you know, I'm super young because I still have that. And then experience, they're kind of worn down. They had the same energy, but it got rubbed out of them. The shine is gone. They're just trying to get through. But there's also a gap in that the youth doesn't have the body of work or the foundational knowledge that gives them credibility so that they can then evoke the change, right? And so back to the thread in this conversation around what is like color by numbers, that is not a bad thing, right? We've got to learn the fundamentals. We have to build this fundamental knowledge so that we can then go. It reminds me of Bruce Lee, right? Like he had to, you learn the steps, you learn the kata, you master that. And once you master the fundamental steps, then you are prepared to innovate. Then we can take it to the next level. What do you think, Jen?
Well, again, it goes back in my mind to the disconnect and what we have with people coming into the industry, the excitement, the youth, the energy, and those that have been living in an industry that is really, it breaks people sometimes. And there's some things that we've got to make better. And so how do we bridge that gap? And I'm telling you a cheat code, because it's so easy that you're coming in and you may have ideas and you may have some things that you're like, why are they not listening to me? Okay. So number one, listen first, because that's huge. So listen first. And if there are people out there that have been doing this and you may even disagree with what they're doing because of something you've been taught or somebody, so that's okay. It's okay. Listen first and ask questions, because I'm going to say it like I say all the time. People just want to matter and they want their work to matter across the board. I don't care what you do. I don't care what industry you're in. I don't care if you are an 11-year-old drawing pictures. You want what you're doing to matter. And you want people to value what you matter. You want them to go, that's a great job. That's so cool. How did you do that? And if you take it so simple to that level, and you don't think something's right, you don't have to say that's wrong. You can go, hey, I see you're doing that. Walk me through that. Show me how you're doing that, because I've never done that before. And as they're walking you through it, you're going to start understanding where they're coming from, their experience, their body of work, how they got there. But it's also going to give you pieces where you in your mind can go, oh, it's that piece that I think probably could be better, that could then change the process. And you're not attacking somebody's work. You're not attacking their everything they've done. You then can take that and go, hey, I saw that. Thank you so much for walking me through that, because now I understand it better. And that one piece you did, I was thinking, if we did that, would that change anything? And that's not even you having an answer. That's you asking them and their body of work and their knowledge, hey, what do you think? And if they say, well, yeah, and they think they had something to do with it, the resistance is so much less.
Yep. Yes. I think it's, as that relates to how do you innovate, is if we're coming in to innovate a situation or a thing, whatever it is, I can't come in pushing my agenda. I have to come in and receive what people are bringing to the table. And Yesenia, again, she's on fire, man. She had some coffee today. So there may be a reason why they have that opinion, reinforcing what you just said, Jen. You may not agree with them, but if you ask why they think that way, it's going to help you better understand. You got to love the why. Yes. And then Miss Angel, the curious idealist, says, and if you're in a position to be drawing the lines for others, which many of the NoBS tribe is, make sure you're being clear on the why behind the lines so that the innovators can connect to the why instead of the line. Holy moly. What do you think about that one?
One, and Tom gave a shout out to her. Tom even quoted it at the bottom. Like, he's like, I'm going to give a shout out to her on just like that's so simple, but that goes back to the example I just said. It's not, I'm attacking the line. I'm attacking this policy and this, you've done it this way and that's wrong. You're helping them explain how they got to the line, why the line's there. And then that's a conversation. And you could go, well, what about this? What about this? Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. That's not within the within the line, but it could then change the line.
Yes. And then celebrate the disagreement, right? Celebrate the problem.
I love that.
How often? I mean, I know you, myself, you, and Hoots, we have our calls, and maybe once in a while there's some disagreement.
Well, because we have to like be careful because Adam doesn't like it.
Look at him; he's squirming in the back. I love it. Adam
doesn't like when there's like discontent or we're like not agreeing. But we push it because it's how our conversations get better.
Yes, we got to celebrate that. And then Alan, oh my goodness, you covered our face, Alan. But the reason I want to bring this this description up on the screen is because you and I, Jen, we're very people oriented. We're very emotion, mood oriented. And there you go. We could hello, can you see me? And there's value in that, but there's also the same value in process type thinkers. Mm-hmm. And so Alan says Dale Morgan taught him that there can be levels of competency when it comes to understanding standards and our compliance towards them. Anyone can read level 1, anyone can read regulations and standards. Level 2, a good quality professional will read and comprehend. Level 3, an SME, subject matter expert, will comprehend and be able to think critically about the intent of the regulation. And level 4, a veteran will be able to leverage rule sets within regulatory to achieve a competitive advantage.
Woo!
Gangsta. All right. Sorry, Alan, we're going to take you off the screen because people are commenting that they miss us. The only reason they came was to see the smiles. But Alan, thank you for that, because that's extreme clarity to, I think, a lot of what we've been saying about color. Was it color by number? And what's the other one that we were talking about yesterday? The dots, connect the dots.
Oh my gosh, I hate dot to dot. Like again, I know why it was created. It is created to help with numbers and to help people to learn numbers and the order of numbers and all that. So again, it's used, kindergarten, first grade. I hate it because somebody created a picture, then drew lines, then took the picture away, and then created dots and added numbers so that someone could follow the dots to create the lines that created the picture. Like that's so much like, what are you doing?
Oh, I feel the same way when I see schedules. Except for my schedule, like our plan, Jen, people y'all don't know, like the plan that Jen and I drafted 18 months ago, it's hitting like 100% PPC, like with no variation, no deviation. It's been amazing. And so
great thing when you have no plan, you get to create it as you go.
I want to close on this conformity thing and then move on to something else. Mr. Davis Hambrick, my buddy. I'm going to tell y'all right now, if you got a big giant idea and you're looking for somebody to partner with or to collaborate with that ain't scared to get messy and take action, that is Davis Hambrick. He's got it going on. So
can we give him a shout out too? Just like a week ago, we were at Clemson.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, we just, again, group of LinkedIn people that kind of connected and, like minds and stuff. And then Davis and Walker had an idea and like we got together one time, it blew up, started playing, and they did a whole lot of back of house stuff and conversations. And then we were at Clemson a week ago talking to their, building science, construction science department on how to come into the industry and how to be prepared for it. Like, it just happened. And that was because of somebody, his idea to action is like this small.
Yes, it's inspiring.
Yes.
So David says, we had a conversation this week, and this goes back to Tom Weathers' question about how a typical superintendent leads. Conformity and compliance completely diminishes the opportunity for the team to innovate together. Right? If we've created a situation where you need to shut up and listen and follow my instructions, you're not going to get any innovation. Not at all. And then Thomas, like full typical Thomas, right? Totally transparent, said the line drawers like me are human beings with fear and bias as well. So, Jen, have you ever drawn any lines?
I draw lines a lot, but I've realized that, and Adam asked this question yesterday, which I thought was a great question. He says, Jennifer, do you color? Do you like coloring inside the line? No, do you like coloring inside the lines? I said, yeah. I said, and he goes, okay. And I was like, I mean, because inside the lines to me is different than inside the lines maybe to somebody else. So there's a picture, and and it's already pre-existing. But in my mind, I still have complete control of what happens inside those lines, and also what's outside the lines. So I like coloring outside the lines. I like coloring inside because inside the lines, if there's a picture there, that doesn't mean that I can't go and create my own lines within those lines that create something different. So it's like sometimes how we define those lines and how we look at them as something that is constricting and something that is keeping us from being who we are that happens. But a lot of that is ourselves. Mm-hmm. Ourselves saying, I have to live in this box. But you still have colors and you still have paints and you still, as Jesse, his pink boas. I mean, you still have these things that still define who you are and allow you to live within that, because sometimes that happens because of our industry and because of where we are. But that doesn't mean that it should diminish what you can do within those parameters. And then as you start evolving and growing, I feel like this is my life story right now, then all of a sudden whether it's granting permission or you've just jumped over the lines and everyone's like, oh, let's go see what that is. And so I think a lot of it is within ourselves. We allow those outside voices, those outside compliances and policies and things to go, oh, I just can't do that. Oh, I'm not allowed to do that. Oh, they're not letting me do that. And for me personally, I'm talking my own self, is I'm in the space I'm in because I went, ooh, what's that? Ooh, what's that? Ooh, I want to see that. Oh, that's not anything that I have any business doing, but I want to do it anyway. And I just kept doing that. And for whatever reason, people saw value in that. And now I understand why. And now I am helping lead organizational change in an entire company because I just kept asking questions and kept jumping over lines and over lines and over lines. But I had to start within those lines.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get vulnerable here.
Okay.
No, not really. I'm thinking of the lines that I've drawn around my tender little heart, right? Like, I mentioned it yesterday or this week in that class that we're talking about. Like, I don't understand why people have pets. I don't understand why people live with other human beings. I mean, I do, but I have some pretty rigid lines when it comes to sharing intimate space with people, like romantically, maybe we'll just say physically intimate space with people, because it's just like, it's my space. If you come into my house or come into my room or come into my truck, don't move nothing. It's my stuff, right? Or you get into my bag. Like yesterday, I was packing up to leave to get to the airport, and Adam was helping. Thank you, Adam, for the help. But it was uncomfortable for me because I'm like, yeah, it's my stuff. No. You probably noticed, like, what's wrong with this dude? And so there's this like imaginary line or maybe invisible line around me that I'm pretty rigid with. But the important thing is why. Right? Why do the lines that I draw, where are they coming from? And so we've been talking a lot of professional group stuff, but personally, where do those lines come from and what purpose do they serve? So for me, those lines are to protect myself. Those lines are for me. And I think you've talked about this before, you and I, Jen, where we will exert control on some crazy, wild, minuscule things because we feel like we have no control on anything else. And so I create these lines around me so that, like, and there ain't no coloring outside the lines, like, period, because I'm doing something to protect myself. You got any of those lines, Jen?
I don't think you're finished. I think you need to keep talking. I'll talk in a minute. I think you need to keep talking on where does that come from?
We're having an after party today at 9:20 at Clubhouse.
It's still coming back to you.
Yeah. So, Buddy, beautiful question. Thank you, Buddy. Because Buddy clicked and listened to the episode. So, Buddy says, why do you stop at the railroad tracks? And so that's a reference to an interview I did with a dear friend of mine. She's Jennifer Longoria, but I grew up with her, knowing her as Jennifer Bella. We went to middle school together. We'd ride the bus to this other school that we would go to and ride back. And I would walk her home. I think it was 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And I would only walk her like within 2 homes of her front porch. And then it's okay, we'll see you next time, right? Whatever. And the real reason that I didn't walk her to the house, because this is truth. This is exactly what I thought. If I walked her to the porch, I was going to have to kiss her because that's what you're supposed to do. Right. And so, one, at that time, I wasn't very practiced at kissing. And 2, there was a fear of rejection. Right. Because if I go and try to lay one on her, smackaroo, she could say no. She could push me away. She could laugh at me. Like, there was all these things that could happen. And so the line was 2 houses away from her porch because I got to spend extra time with her, got to walk her home and, have all that. And I never had to experience the rejection. And so coming back to me and my tender heart, the line that I got, there's a lot of that. Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. One, it's way too expensive for me to date somebody. Like, I just don't want to spend the damn money. Like, for real, I'm just going to be straight up. When I think of going on a date, this is what the brain tells me. You're going to spend somewhere between 70 and 150 bucks, 3 hours, maybe 4, depending how long it takes my hair to air dry. And the return on that investment is the opportunity to spend another $150 in 4 hours of time. Like, that does not.
And you could have edited 4 videos in that time.
Right, unless we're going to record. Yeah, exactly. I could have produced some content, some TikToks and all kinds of stuff. Like, really, that's how I think of it. But the other part, there's other pieces of the line that are rejection, disappointment, judgment, like all of those things. These lines, these personal lines that I have are intended to protect me. Mm-hmm. So that's my answer. Now,
so, do it. Yes, but I think it's the protection part. And again, that's something you and I have talked a lot about, and just how we show up. And whether it's for me, it's growing up with a single father that was raising 4 kids, and just the things, the sacrifices, and the sitting down with him and balancing the checkbook and things that I learned growing up that I now never want to have to deal with as an adult and with my children, that he sacrificed and he did because he was doing the best he could. And so that being my experience and what it felt like, and watching him just struggle, that my protection for me, it similar to yours, but not, is that like where I put my money, where I put my efforts, and making sure that I will not ever be in that position. Like, I make a lot of decisions that everyone is just like, Jennifer, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter if it makes sense to you. Is that I'm doing that to protect myself because I don't want to have to go through those things. And it doesn't mean I give my kids everything. And it doesn't mean that I, never, I don't say no. In fact, I probably say no more than I even have to, because I want to make sure not only am I protecting me, but I am protecting them and their legacy and things like that. And like, people question that, they don't understand it. because of, just having success and being able to do things. But still, I'm super protective of those things that they don't know. They don't understand it.
Yes. Well, I think you touched on this point that Yesenia brings up, and I think it's important for us to really think about this, because most of us are adults up here. Mm-hmm. I mean, I say most of us because I'm never going to claim being that. Yesenia says, I grew up with overprotective parents and brothers and only knew to color within the lines and as neat as possible. She had to do everything right because she felt if I don't follow the rules, I would disappoint my family.
Jesse, what do you think about that?
I think that's the main concern, is the conditions that we come up in shape the way we function and walk through the world. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. Now, we don't have to continue imposing those fears and expectations and maladjusted behaviors to the children and the people that we influence. I mean, I'm talking about home a lot because it's true, it's real, but I'm also talking about the workplace, because everybody on here, we got ballers. People are responsible. And when we got managerial skills and leadership skills, you're very influential and you have like formal authority. And what you're really doing, and we talked about this earlier this week, too many of us are thinking like, well, we got to hit up our objectives. We got to hit the KPIs and blah, blah, blah. What we're really doing is we're shaping the lives of human beings. We're influencing their career growth, their income potential, the quality of life that their family is going to experience. And all of this garbage that we bring with us, if we're not dealing with it, we're damaging other people. And like exponentially, we're affecting them and they're affecting people. And then like the ripples of impact, right? And so what is our level of awareness in terms of our lines, and how often do I project my lines, my insecurities, my fears, my pride, all those things? Am I projecting them on people in such a way that it is damaging and detracting from the amazing life that they can be experiencing? Oh, girl, I need to clip that one out.
I was going to say, damn.
Say it again, baby. Affecting other people's lives. Yes, because that is exactly what we're doing. And like, if you really need help, a good way to mitigate that issue is be like Adam. Eat the crayons. All right. So where are we? Oh, here's one that yes. 131111 says expectations are a guideline, and we put too much importance to them. And this comment came up very early in the conversation, but I think it fits perfectly with what we're saying right now. Is what expectations? What are the self-imposed expectations that Yesenia referenced, that Jennifer referenced, that I've referenced, that are confining, bounding, handcuffing, unless you're into that, because sometimes I am. Like, it's not always great. And what can we do? What are we doing? What can we do to better serve our community and the people we care about? What are your thoughts, Jen?
I agree, but we have a question about crayons and stuff, and I want to bring it up because I think it's important, and I think it will allow our people to think about, when they think about colors, and we talked about emotional and like what color do you feel you are and why? And I want to ask that to the tribe, because again, we have about 7 or 8 minutes left, but I want them to start answering that question and telling us why, because we talked about emotional, how those colors can sometimes be tied to emotion. And I want to tell the story regarding you and colors, because I think it's funny. But I asked Jesse, if you were a color, what color would you be? And Jesse, what is your answer?
All of them.
All of them. And then I asked Alex, my daughter, hey, if Jesse was a color, what color would he be? And she's first immediate reaction was rainbow. And I was like, why would it be rainbow? That's what Jesse would be. And so it was funny because Jesse wouldn't give me one color. And then the response from my 11-year-old is, oh yeah, he's just rainbow. He's everything. But I know that that's not how everyone is. And so some people, they associate with one color, or they feel like that's their color. And I asked Alex, and Alex says, oh, Mom, let me tell you my story. I was like, okay. So she's 11. She says, so last year at school, I asked people, like, what color would I be? And they said, oh, yellow. And he says, because the way I show up my energy and that I'm always smiling. And I'm like, that's awesome. And she's like, even the people that don't like me still said yellow, because that's how I show up. And if they say things to me and they're rude, I just say thank you. And I just thought that was so cool. One, for an 11-year-old to be at that place, because I don't know if I was there at 11. But two, like, what are those colors that associate, with who we are, and that they kind of attach to them. They kind of help us define us a little bit.
Yes. So we got some answers to the question, Jen.
Okay.
Mr. Bruce coming in from the NYC says deep, dark, rich,
I love
purple.
I love that, Bruce, because you gave us all the adjectives that, like, absolutely we can picture that color. That is freaking amazing.
Love it. DJ Hootie Hoot says he's orange because he's Jen's favorite.
Because he knows orange is my color, and so we like fight. And then Jesse let me know this morning, like, why are you fighting? Like, you both can have orange. I'm like, I guess.
Yeah, come on, it ain't that hard. And then Hal says black and gray because it's easy. Right? Fair. Maria. She says I'm with the earth green.
Okay.
Oh man. Yesenia, she's purple, which is actually 3 colors. Blue plus red is purple. And for me, this color means emotions, and I wear them on my sleeve. Damn, bro. Come on, Yesenia. Uh-oh. Abigail, how you been, girl? Shoot, we haven't heard from her in a while.
I'm gonna make sure Alex reads this, because she is gonna love that today.
Abigail says, thanks to all the haters that got us to where we are today. She is yellow as well. Like, awesome. For real, right? Haters gonna hate. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I just posted in the chat and all the socials about the after party. So we're going to have the after party at 9:20. There it is. There's the Clubhouse link. So the link's there. It's Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Hit it up. So if you want to be a part of this conversation, like, so that we can all talk and I can hear voices, that'll be super awesome. Please do. Because Bruce and Buddy at the last after party, they were talking smack. They're like, man, where are all them other people at? Why ain't they here at
all them talkers, and then they don't show up to actually talk?
But I think the main thing is the depth. I mean, obviously, we're having some depth of communication and connection on the live stream. And also, I know y'all have lives, right? Like, y'all got all kinds of other things going on. But the conversations that we have in the after party are very rich and meaningful. So we're looking to connect. And I think, as it relates to this whole topic of coloring outside the lines, and maybe Tom Weathers' question and kind of the theme around conformity and compliance and innovation. Jen, didn't I tell you that this conversation was going to be exactly this way?
Exactly.
I think the main point here is, like Steve Martin, who also posted earlier in the week about he used to color inside the lines until he had grandchildren. Yes. And now he lives all outside the lines, right? And so there's this thing that happens that helps us appreciate things from a different perspective. But Steve Martin says, continuous improvement, moving from color by number by yourself independently to draw your own lines and handing a bunch of crayons to others so they can help make things better. And Jen, like, for me, that's kind of the takeaway from all the conversation, all the comments is, the best way for me to begin coloring outside the lines is to be courageous and invite people in. The best way to innovate, be courageous and invite people in. The best way to serve, invite people in. What do you think?
I completely agree. And so I know we're wrapping up, so I'm going to give my conclusion along with my feedback on that. Is one, those of you that are in the chat, we got some new people in here we haven't seen before. So we do have a NoBS tribe pod that is within LinkedIn, and we post things in there and share things with each other. And so it's a lot of conversation, some on posts, but also just on questions and feedback and things like that. If you want to be a part of that pod, we are happy to add you to it. If you add a green heart in the chat, and if you don't know how to do that because you're on your computer, you just right click and go up to emojis at the top, and then you can select the green heart. And so if you put a green heart in there, we will add you to that pod, and then you'll have more conversation beyond every other Saturday. So there's that. And then 2, I have a question that I'm going to pose to everyone, and I'm going to challenge y'all in the next 2 weeks. When you go into conversations, you go into meetings, you go into things, in your mind, ask yourself, am I granting permission for others to challenge, for others to ask questions, and for others to get outside the lines? Am I granting that permission? Because I think sometimes we self-impose it and don't think about it. And so am I granting permission? Am I allowing it? And it could be saying it out loud. Hey, today we're going to get outside the lines. We're going to push things beyond what is expected. Or it could just be when someone starts talking, you do not stop the conversation. You allow it to go all the way through. So that's my challenge.
Boom. Yes, I agree. And so I think we should end the broadcast, Jen. What do you think?
God.
All right, 4 minutes, and then we're going to be on the Clubhouse after party.
What you got?
Thank you, Davis. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.